Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Walter. Just about to turn 10:30 here, so we'll give some folks a little bit more time to join us. I hope you're all doing well. If you have any issues hearing me or seeing my screen, we have a couple more people jumping in. Please feel free to send a message into the chat so we can figure out the best solution for you. Again, those of you just joining us, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We're just going to hold for another few minutes here to ensure we have everyone with us. Hello to those just joining us. We're going to hold for another minute or two here just to ensure that we have everyone, any late arrivals, jumping in and joining us today. Again, if you have any issues hearing myself speak or seeing the screen, please put those into the chat now and we can hopefully get that cleared up on the tech side. Again, welcome for those of you just joining us. We're going to start in a minute or so here. We're waiting for a few additional folks to jump on. And again, those folks just joining us, we will wait another minute here and then we're going to get underway. If you have any issues hearing me or seeing the screen, please let me know via the chat function. We can get that fixed for you. All righty, we're just another 30 seconds here and then we'll be underway. Oh, yep, a few more just jumping in. Again, if you have any issues hearing me or seeing the screen, please just send a message into the chat and we'll get that fixed out on the technical side. Alrighty, so I think we're going to get started here. It looks like we have a majority of folks with us today. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I want to thank you for joining us today and at this Access to Language Studies webinar. I'm happy to have Jenny Brown, our Director of Program Operations based in New York, with us today. And I am Walter Morell, the Marketing and Recruitment Manager based in Boston. We have a lot to cover, so I'd like to jump right in. If you have any questions that come up during the presentation, please feel free to send them into the chat function and we'll answer them in real time. We'll also be available after the presentation to answer any questions you may have. I think it's beneficial to take a moment and let you know that after 20 years, we at Access to Language Studies have the same mission, which is more important now than ever before. Our mission is to provide international students challenging and valuable opportunities to learn and enhance their linguistic, academic, and cultural knowledge. The ability to understand different cultures and communicate effectively opens endless opportunities in today's global community. Acquiring a second language enhances every aspect of the learning experience, expands one's global awareness, and develops an international perspective. Access to Language Studies helps you get a jumpstart on a lifetime of adventure and learning. So without further ado, we will jump right in. Today's objectives, these are things that we hope you will walk away with understanding a little deeper than previously. So 1, ensure you understand current U.S. travel restrictions and the resources we use to stay informed. 2, show what we at Access have planned for the summer of 2021. 3, introduce you to the technology we are using for online lessons. And 4th, but not last, ensure you have the most up-to-date travel information at your fingertips. So, current U.S. travel information. The CDC, or Center of Disease Control and Prevention. What is the CDC? Basically, it's a government organization that ensures we are following the best science available when making decisions about COVID-19, from travel to national and local guidelines, with the aim to keep us all safe. Currently, for folks traveling from abroad, much of your students will be, the 2 main points that the CDC has listed is before arrival, the ability to show a negative test, and that's before boarding a plane. The CDC currently says that that should be done 72 hours before boarding a plane. We at Access believe that 48 hours would be a better fit, so that is what we're using for on campus. And also after arrival, we need to produce a negative test 3 to 5 days after arrival. So we're working with the airport as a possible test site or a local testing facility near our campus to make sure students have access to that test. On the more local level, we look at New York, and this is where we get our optimism about a in-person summer program. The mayor of New York City has just announced last week that New York will open up for July 1st of 2021. That's great news for us. It's great news for local businesses. It's great news for tourism in general. One thing that they are doing to ensure safety is they've actually closed down a few of the main arteries, the avenues in New York, and made them pedestrianized. So that gives people the ability to be outside and social distancing from one another. Also, the projections that, again, make us hopeful for an in-person program is that 85% of the adult population will be vaccinated according to their projections by June. Again, that's essentially herd immunity, at least in the state of New York. Other states are working at different levels, but in general, the US is about 40%, the 40% of the US population is vaccinated as of last week. And Joe Biden, our president, has just lifted the outdoor mask mandate for all vaccinated individuals. So you can see we get our news from multiple of sources, but as more information comes in, we will keep reevaluating our in-person programming and also what we can offer. So from our standpoint, what we've been doing, we've taken some steps to ensure we're offering the best and safest program possible for our students. So from an on-campus perspective, we've actually pushed back the start date of our program to July 16th. And that will therefore give us more time to get folks vaccinated. We hope everyone on campus, along with a lot of folks here in the US, and also group leaders and potentially students that would be coming to join us on campus. We'll run an abbreviated 4-week program that will also allow us to visit sites that are more open to students and things, so the program runs as it should. Our online virtual programs will run from July 5th through August 27th. And we are working with St. John's, our university partner in New York, and testing out the possibility of a hybrid course, which would combine the in-person and on-campus programs from July 16th through the August 14th date. So that would we would have cameras in the classroom, and that would mean we would have more students interacting with one another online and virtually and in the classroom. But no matter how you choose to spend your summer, both programs provide a safe and welcoming environment. Our dedicated teachers and staff are here to support our students achieve their goals both inside and outside the classroom. And that's very critical to us, both in person and online. And we believe that we will be able to provide the utmost and best programs for your students. Now I'd like to turn it over to Jenny, who will take a deeper look at our in-person and online programming.
Thanks, Walter. So I'm here to kind of talk about the program that is in person at St. John's University in New York City. It is a really exciting program. There's a lot to do and a lot to explore in New York. Even with COVID, we're not going to let that get us down. So when students arrive, they will be expected to attend 15 hours of English classes per week. Their accommodations are looking like they're going to be double and single room suites. There is air conditioning, although I know a lot of students don't enjoy that, but we can open the windows. And then there's going to be full board from Monday to Friday, and there will be brunch and dinner as well on the weekends. We do eat out in the evenings, and we will be able to enjoy New York City to the fullest, hopefully, if it sounds like it's going to be open, which is fantastic. And then we have weekly programming. So that's when students do go out. They'll be able to go and eat dinner around the city. We're going to explore all kinds of different locations. It sounds like a lot of them are going to be open. So on the list of examples, we have Empire State Building, Times Square, Rockefeller Center, Central Park. On the note of the Empire State Building, we have begun our research, which is really exciting. And we found out that about 20 people are allowed into the Empire State Building, excuse me, every 30 minutes. So that means we can totally go and check that out and bring students there, which is really exciting news for us. Typically we take, so back to the school part of this, we place students by level. We give them a placement test when they arrive. They leave us with an end of the course certificate and some kind words from their teachers. And another perk typically is free internet access. Sometimes as well, we have a variation of arrivals. So students are able to arrive on Sundays and typically they depart on Saturdays. Moving on, I know this is the hot topic given all that is going on in the world. So we're kind of talking about on-campus safety protocol. Like Walter mentioned before, we're going to have students be tested 48 hours before arriving on campus or even just in New York City. And we plan to test all of the students when they arrive at the airport before transferring to campus. We plan to utilize all of the outdoor spaces that are at St. John's. There are a lot of beautiful areas. There's a lot of grass and chairs outside and outdoor dining options. So we're going to try to encourage our students to do that as much as possible. We hope to have all of our staff vaccinated, and every morning students will be filling out what is called a Green Pass at St. John's, which is a questionnaire based on how they are feeling. If they are not feeling, up to it, we're going to have a plan for them to stay on campus and hopefully meet with someone to assess the situation. Again, as we mentioned earlier, there will be single and double dorm rooms, and we're going to have as least contact that is unnecessary as possible. And we're going to definitely have an emergency plan in place, as well as isolation options for students. So I'm also going to kind of talk about our virtual summer camp, which is all online learning, and kind of just give you a little bit of what that looks like. So we basically break our virtual learning down into 3 different groups of students by age. So typically we try to put 12 to 14-year-olds together, 15 through 17-year-olds together, and then we go from 18 years old to 22-year-olds. In that older group, we can even do things as like SAT prep and things like that to get students ready if they do have an interest in coming to America for their university. Our programs online feature a lively and interactive format, which you'll kind of check out in about a minute, opportunities to make new friends all around the world, and daily structured study. Students will improve their language and academic skills and cultural awareness, and it'll all be from home, which is pretty cool. Those are similar to the in-person learning that we offer at our St. John's and our Tufts campuses, in that they have 3 hours of interactive virtual programming. And as Walter mentioned before, we are trying to put together a hybrid program where the virtual students will be able to learn alongside the students in person in New York City, which is a really exciting opportunity. Along with those 15 hours per week, we use a program called Microsoft Teams, and we also use something called Nearpod. And with those beautiful technical developments, we are allowed to have, and we're going to have, virtual field trips for the students, cultural workshop, games, and more. On the note of the virtual field trips, we are going to try to have some of our students and actually our staff that are on the ground do their best to actually live broadcast some of the tourist locations in New York City as the students attend them, and we'll also record them. So if there's a very big time difference, sometimes they'll be able to catch up and see what their classmates have done, which is pretty cool. We also do these small group exploration projects virtually, and those are where students are able to go and research a topic of their interest and their choice and improve their English while they're researching that. And there's a lot of instructor support for that. Those typically run 2 weeks. Here's a sample class schedule for the online learning. It's pretty exciting stuff. They start with a lesson for about an hour. Then they have a cultural workshop for about an hour. And if you look at our schedule here, you'll notice that there are a lot of the New York tourist locations that we go to in person. So this is a really great preview. If your student is unable to go physically to New York this summer, they can try it all out online and get ready for it and get excited for it. So maybe they can go next year to New York City. And again, the last hour of that are the small group exploration projects where students are able to access their teachers, do their own research, and have a lot of fun. We also offer one-on-one Premier tutoring, which is another option that students are able to add on to their packages or do separately from the Access Summer Academy camp, and they're more than welcome to sign up for that as well. I have a quick video just kind of showing all the really exciting and incredible unique learning features of our online platform. So I'm going to have you check that out, and don't forget to ask questions in the chat if you have them.
Students will be able to interact with their lessons live while on camera by accessing a separate browser with all of their lessons. One of the best features of the lessons is that students can access them and review them even when class isn't in session. All they have to do is log on to the URL given to them by their teachers. Students can also access the Immersive Reader. This is great, especially for students who are just starting out, because it reads the text to them. Additionally, the Immersive Reader highlights parts of speech, such as nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs, as well as breaks down what the student is reading by syllables. Additionally, students can customize the voice selection as well as how fast or slow the text is read to them. They will go through a variety of activities, including live message boards where they can collaborate through text and pictures, responding in live time through writing interactive questions that can be shared with the entire class, exploring incredible virtual reality settings from all around the world related to the topic that is being discussed in class that day, reviewing what they learned, including vocabulary and grammar by filling in the blanks, and even drawing to show understanding of adjectives and adverbs. Students can practice speaking about their pictures, which are shared with the class in live time while everyone is learning together. Other features include matching for vocabulary words and practice with grammar, as well as the option for students and teachers to watch videos together and respond to them as a class, both through speaking on camera as well as typing their responses. There are also live polls, so students can voice their opinions and teachers can get feedback as to whether to slow down or speed up with their lessons. All of the materials being delivered to students have been personally selected and reviewed by our experienced educators with the goal to inform, educate, and most of all, make sure that our students are having fun. With interactive lessons like these, teachers can make sure that students are heard both vocally and through writing and can give feedback on their writing, grammar, word choice, and more. The goal of our teachers at Access to Language Studies is to make sure that we are forming connections with our students, as well as prove to them that learning can be fun. With Access to Language Studies, you'll be able to access the world from your home this summer.
Alrighty, and mentioning polls in the video, I would actually like to take this time to send a few polls out to you guys. So the question and the multiple choice answers will pop up on your screen and you're able to click. And we'll be tallying the results and then sharing that information with you later. It's just to gauge in what direction we can move to help you and ensure that your students are getting the best out of their summer with us. So I will launch the poll now. And it looks like we've got most of the votes in here. So I will close that poll. And we have a second poll here. What do you think about online virtual summer camps, and do you think you'll get any interest for them? I'm going to go ahead and launch poll. And I'll give you a few more seconds to get your answers in here as they come in. Seems pretty split across the board here. And we have pretty much everyone's response, and so I'll close that poll. And then another additional question here. Do you have preparations in place for students traveling this summer? And we would like to focus on additional insurance, for example. So I'll go ahead and launch those polls. And once again, you can select your answers. And it seems like most everyone's pretty prepared for this summer with things in place for their students, which is great. And our last poll here is in regards to demo lessons and if those would be helpful for you and your students. And just another 5 seconds here. We almost have everyone's vote in. And I'll go ahead and close that poll. Thank you for assisting us with that. Speaking of free demo classes,
Students will be.
so since we have pushed back our in-person start date until July, we feel it's important to ensure that students are still learning between now and summer. So we are offering 2 weeks of free online lessons starting in June. The breakdown of this will be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for an hour and a half each. And they will take place over Microsoft Teams, which will be provided by us at Access. We feel these lessons can be a great way for you to stay in contact with your students and their parents while offering your students something of value with no commitment from them. It will also give them a good preview of both our in-person and online courses. If you feel that this is something you'd like to promote, please contact us directly, as we'd like to work with you to ensure that we have as many students from you as you feel that you can provide. Again, I think this is a great opportunity for your students to keep them engaged before summer lessons start. And next, again, we would like to see our partnerships grow with everyone joining us today. So we will continue to offer the early bird special to you guys. And we have, for our online summer academy, The current published price is $430, but we can continue to offer you the net price of $275 for the 2-week session per student. With that, you get the Office 360, which allows students to access a suite of Microsoft products through the end of 2021. Also, if students do enroll in the Online Summer Academy for 2021, we'll offer a 10% discount toward the students' 2022 in-person programming. So really piggybacking off the back of the 2021 to the 2022 to ensure that they're getting the full experience of our programmings that we're offering. The in-person summer programs, the current published price is $1,400. But again, we can offer you the net price of $1,080 per student per week. And then over the last year, since due to COVID, we have built out additional services. These are the things that can be accessed online. Our one-on-one tutoring, can be individualized per student to meet their needs and goals. And that's when a student will meet with one of our teachers. Access Academy, that's our ongoing version of our established summer academy, and that takes place year-round. That kind of works with their in-classroom time in their home country and just gives them an additional boost with their English lessons. And our outsourcing, this is when we can step into your classroom and teach virtually the English class, and also create any curriculum that will work best for your students in a classroom setting, or again, virtually online. So lastly, I'd like to say how we can have you stay up to date on US travel information. We believe it is best for you to have the most up-to-date information, which will allow you to track progress and make informed decisions for in-person programming. So we have compiled a list of resources here that we currently monitor, and we hope that you can monitor as well on your end. So these links will be going into the chat. Jenny will be sending those in now, but we'll also be sharing the links with you as they are currently updated weekly. So for the CDC, that's where we get our international travel information from, and that was last updated just last week, April 27th. In Massachusetts, in our program based at Tufts University, we go to the Mass website, and again, that was last updated just at the beginning of this week. And then New York, we look at the New York guidelines, which were updated in April 26th. So these are really kind of real-time areas where you can get news and information about where vaccine rollouts is, where mask mandates are, how how we're practicing social distancing, what percentage can visit tourist attractions and restaurants. So all that information lives on these sites, and we just want you to have access to it to make it as transparent as possible. Something that we've also kind of dove into over the last months in preparation for the summer is insurance. And these are some guidelines that kind of we've come up with and things that you should look for when deciding on insurance coverage for your students if they are attending in-person programming. So the travel delay coverage, the benefit can cover the cost of your accommodations and meals during quarantine if you've contracted the virus, or if you have to stay in quarantine because you produce a positive test. The trip interruption coverage is another great aspect of coverage that we believe you should be looking into, and we can obviously help you navigate these on our end to best prepare your students. But that will help cover missed portions of your trip if you do have a COVID test that comes back positive, and the non-refundable trip costs. Also, the Voyager plan, it's one of several other insurance plans that covers expenses if you're forced to quarantine domestically or abroad. So again, these are great options that we believe you as agents should be looking at, but also we're here to help you with navigating this area of coverage for you. So with that being said, I would like to just remind you to be in contact with us. Everything is changing all the time, weekly, monthly, and I can be reached. Many of you I've talked to over Skype or via Zoom on a personal level, so you are aware of my email address. Also, I can be reached on WhatsApp and then also on Skype. So if you have any questions or comments during the next few months leading up to summer, I am more easily reached via email. Also, we'll be planning on a second webinar in June to update you on where rules and regulations stand here in the US, both in New York and Boston, to ensure you're again up to date with our with US travel restrictions and to see how far along we have come, as we believe, again, we think the US, New York, and Boston will both be open and we'll be able to run successful in-person programs. And if that's not in the comfort zone for your students, obviously we have the online options as well. And we are just working as hard as you are to ensure that your students stay safe and also have a great experience with us. So we will stay here online. Again, if you want to use the chat function to add any comments or concerns, questions you may have right off the bat, we're here to answer those questions with you. We'll follow up with an email with all the links that we have for you, along with the recording of the presentation, so you can reference that at a later date. But please feel free. If you do have to get to another meeting, this is the end of the session, but you are welcome to stay on and ask any questions in the chat function or raise your hand as well. So I want to thank you on behalf of Access, myself and Jenny. We appreciate you taking the time to join us today, and we hope you have a safe and enjoy the rest of your week wherever you are in the world. So thank you. And again, if anyone has any questions, comments, please ask them in the chat. We are live here. If not, that is the end of the webinar. And again, we'll hold for any questions in the chat function. If anyone has anything, please feel free. You're able to reach us there. For myself, Jenny, we'll be here for another additional minutes. If not, that is the conclusion of the webinar. Alrighty, and again, I'd like to thank you for joining us, and we will be signing off, as I know Jenny has classes to teach, and you are all very busy here. So thank you.